Peace and blessings. It's Thursday, February the 7th, the year 2019. And I got more rejected mail today. And also I was told that my visitors form to visit United States Congressman Steve Stockman was not approved. I am resubmitting it again. And, there's just an onslaught of attack to silence this ministry, to suppress it, to do everything you can. As an example, let me just share some examples before I get into the envelope where they returned a letter from Jacob Scott Goodwin. But they have completely cut me off from Schaefer Cox, Kurt Johnson. They murdered Robert David Neal from the CMU prison. Russell Landers is no longer able to communicate with me. David Hinkson has been thrown in the hole. Mike Parsons is put in a situation where he can no longer make phone calls to me. I was not approved to visit Elaine Brown, and I was not approved to visit Steve Stockman. I'm getting return mail all the time from Ed Brown. Today we're going to cover a letter from Jacob Scott Goodwin, and I cannot publish the voices of Jeffrey Winehouse or Daniel Riley. And when Barbara Holder calls me, they told me I can't put her voice on a speakerphone, so I had to buy some special electronics to record her voice without putting it on a speakerphone. And then we have the Millard family who is threatening to, not only threatening, they called the prison to harass Patrick Hoffman, and Corey Millard says she wants this YouTube channel taken down. So instead of engaging in a conversation, which we very politely offered to the Millards, to get to the truth of who murdered Lou Millard, they didn't want to do that. All they wanted to do was harass an innocent man who sat in prison for 32 years. And they take a great deal of pleasure and enjoyment from the suffering of Patrick Hoffman. But if anybody talks about holding them responsible for calling the prison or the harassment that they do themselves, they absolutely freak out. But they don't mind absolutely being giddy at the suffering of a man for 32 years in prison as an innocent man who did not kill Lou Millard, and they absolutely derive joy. That is satanic. The Millard family, as far as I'm concerned, are the devil. And they have no ability whatsoever to have empathy. All they do is want to accuse. They don't care about getting to the truth. They've missed an incredible opportunity to honor their father. But instead, they just want to persecute an innocent man and join the side of devils, so let them do that. Here is a letter from Jacob Scott Goodwin. And let me just say this. Our entire society has gotten to the point where it's so litigious. There's a book called 3 Felonies a Day by Harvey Silverglate. And the FBI and the CIA and law enforcement can pick out any one of us. And they can find something that, we have broken a law, and they will throw you in prison. They will find a way to take away your freedom. And so this is a letter I sent to Jacob Scott Goodwin. It weighed over an ounce. That's why you see 2 stamps. And they said, return to sender, incoming letters limited to 1 ounce. So I'm going to take the contents of this and break it up into 2 envelopes. But I wonder if everybody else at that prison is being treated with the same sort of scrutiny. It's just like when Roger Stone gets raided by the FBI. I wonder how come Hillary Clinton doesn't get raided by the FBI? How come that guy that runs that pedophile island, I forget his name, how come he doesn't get raided by the FBI? That's because the FBI has selective enforcement. And let me say this about Jacob Scott Goodwin. If a white teenager had walked up to an old black man who was carrying a Black Panther flag or a Black Power flag and whacked him upside the head with a mag flashlight and nearly killing him, and then if a white teenager had done that to an old black man, like DeAndre Harris did to Harold Cruz, and then if a black teenager had kicked that white boy, I guarantee you they would not send that black boy to prison for 8 years. Jacob Scott Goodwin never had a criminal record. It's absolutely incredibly obvious that the judge and the prosecutor sent Jacob Scott Goodwin to jail for 8 years in order to set an example for the rest of everybody else who's not ashamed to be white. I'm not asking for the black man to be ashamed to be black, and I damn sure don't expect anybody to ask me to be ashamed to be white. But they're returning his letters, and I guarantee you that I doubt very seriously, I don't guarantee you, but I doubt very seriously that anybody else in that prison is being held to this sort of standard. I think that they're just not letting me communicate with Jacob Scott Goodwin in the way that I need to. But God bless you guys. We're going to keep trying. We're not going to give up. All glory to God, and we're not going to be intimidated by these bastards.